Have you ever wondered why it's so easy to love others, yet so painfully hard to love yourself? You smile for the world, hold everyone together, and still go to bed feeling unseen, unworthy, empty. We chase approval, thinking love will heal us. But the more we seek it outside, the further we drift from peace within. Here's the paradox Buddhism reveals. You cannot truly love anyone until you learn to love yourself first. Because every relationship, every emotion, every failure is only a reflection of how you treat your own soul. Before we begin, subscribe to Deep Wisdom, where every video is a doorway to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight you won't find anywhere else. Stay till the end, because there's a powerful bonus lesson waiting for you, one that could completely change how you see love, worth, and life itself. Let's begin. 1. Stop waging war against yourself. What if peace isn't something you find, but something you stop fighting against? Most people spend their entire lives trying to become someone else, thinking that only when they're better, stronger, or more perfect, they will finally be worthy of love. But the Buddha once said, "You do not heal by becoming someone else. You heal by being kind to the person you already are." These words hold the power to end a silent war that so many are still fighting, the war against themselves. There is a hidden suffering in the way we treat ourselves. You wake up and immediately judge your reflection. You compare your progress, your success, your emotions, even your pain. Like a river fighting its own current, you create resistance within your own heart. And the more you resist your nature, the further peace drifts away. Imagine what would happen if that river simply stopped struggling and flowed in its own direction. That is the beginning of real love. Not the love you chase from others, but the love that arises when you finally stop running from yourself. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your inner voice softening, like waves smoothing the edges of a rough stone. That stone is you, scarred, imperfect, but beautiful. Each harsh word you've spoken to yourself is just another wave waiting to be softened. This is the sacred practice of acceptance. When you let go of the need to fix yourself, you create the space for healing to flow through naturally. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering is resistance, clinging to what we wish was different and rejecting what already is. When you fight who you are fighting life itself. But when you pause and breathe, when you whisper gently to yourself, "It's okay to be me, even in this moment," you become one with the flow of existence. You stop searching for peace and begin embodying it. Think about this. Why do you resist being gentle with yourself? What are you constantly trying to fix that isn't broken? Can you let yourself be enough, even for one breath? These questions are not meant to be answered with your mind. They are meant to be felt in your heart. The truth is, self-love is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is remembering that you are part of something vast and sacred, and that the universe did not make a mistake when it created you. When you love yourself deeply, you stop begging for crumbs and start attracting peace. You stop chasing people to fill your emptiness because you realize emptiness was never a curse. It was space waiting to be filled with your own light. The journey of self-love is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were before the world told you to be ashamed of your softness. So, tonight, as you sit in silence, place your hand on your heart and whisper, "I am allowed to be at peace with myself." Let that be your prayer. Because when you stop waging war against yourself, everything that once felt out of place begins to fall quietly, beautifully into harmony. We'd love to hear your thoughts. if you're not sure what to say, just type, "My self-worth attracts more." 2. The truth about why we reject ourselves. When did we first decide that love must be earned? Somewhere along the path of growing up, you began to believe that you were not enough as you are. Maybe it was the day someone compared you, or when your kindness went unnoticed, or when your mistakes were met with silence instead of understanding. From that moment, you started performing for love, believing that only by becoming perfect, successful, or useful, you could deserve it. But as Buddhism gently reminds us, suffering begins the moment you forget that you are already whole. We reject ourselves not because we are broken, but because we have been taught to believe we must be something else to be accepted. Like a lotus buried in mud, we mistake our environment for our identity. The lotus never despises the mud. It uses it to grow. Yet we humans often spend years trying to scrub away our imperfections, unaware that the very soil of our pain is where our strength takes root. When you understand this, rejection transforms into recognition. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and begin to see the beauty in being simply as you are. Imagine your childhood self sitting before you, fragile yet pure. Look into those eyes. There is no pretending there, no striving to be enough, only presence. Whisper softly to that child, "You were always enough." Feel the ache that rises in your chest, the tenderness of realizing how long you've carried the burden of unworthiness. That is the sound of healing beginning. Buddhism teaches that the illusion of separation between who you are and who you think you must become is the root of suffering. The mind creates conditions for love. I will love myself when I'm better, when I succeed, when I change. But the heart knows no such terms. The heart loves in stillness, without reason, without negotiation. When you reject yourself, you are turning away from your own heart, from the most sacred source of compassion you will ever know. So pause. Ask yourself gently, what moment taught me to doubt my own worth? Do I still seek love through performance? What if I already deserve the peace I chase? These questions are not to be answered quickly. They are meant to awaken the stillness beneath your thoughts. Because when you stop chasing love, love starts finding you in everything, in the warmth of your breath, in the quiet acceptance of your flaws, in the gentle awareness that you were never unworthy to begin with. Remember this truth. You cannot hate yourself into healing. You cannot fight yourself into peace. You can only remember that you were never separate from love itself. When you see yourself through the eyes of that inner child, innocent, imperfect, whole, you will finally understand. There was never anything to earn, only something to remember. 3. Learn to accept mistakes without punishment. What if mistakes are not stains, but sacred footprints of growth? In a world that teaches perfection as the price for love, we've been conditioned to treat our errors as evidence of failure. Yet, in the eyes of Buddhist wisdom, mistakes are not sins. They are signposts, quiet invitations from life to awaken. The Buddha once said, "The wound is not your enemy, it's your teacher in disguise." And within those words lies a freedom most people never allow themselves to feel. The freedom to be imperfect without shame. When you make a mistake, what do? You replay it, judge it, punish yourself in silence. You build invisible prisons out of regret and call it responsibility. But the truth is, responsibility and punishment are not the same. To learn is noble. To condemn is self-cruelty. Like gold refined in fire, your errors do not destroy your worth. They burn away the illusions that hide your truth. Without that fire, you would never know your own resilience. Without falling, you would never understand compassion. Breathe deeply for a moment. Imagine your regrets as dark smoke within you, gathering in your chest. Now, with each exhale, release that smoke into light, as if your soul itself is exhaling forgiveness. Let the warmth of that image settle into your being. You have punished yourself enough for simply being human. The Buddha taught that growth is not about avoiding mistakes, but awakening through them. Each wrong turn, each moment of pain, each regret, all of them were paths leading you home to awareness. Ask yourself, which mistakes do I still carry like armor? What lesson hides beneath my guilt? Can I allow my past to become wisdom, not weight? If you can face those questions with softness, the chains begin to fall. Your so-called failures were never proof of your weakness. They were the evidence of your trying, of your courage to live, to feel, to learn. You cannot evolve without friction. And yet, every scar you've earned has carved open space for understanding. Buddhist practice invites you to see yourself as both the student and the lesson. When you hold your past with compassion, it transforms from a burden into a teacher. This is how the soul matures, not through perfection, but through patient awareness. The lotus doesn't curse the mud that dirtied it. It simply rises. And so must you. So tonight, forgive yourself again. Let your heart rest. The journey was never about avoiding mistakes, but about remembering your light even when surrounded by shadows. Every misstep was guiding you back to that truth. Because in the end, your mistakes were never meant to break you, only to break open the door to your own awakening. 4. Stop criticizing yourself. The mind believes what you repeat. If your thoughts were seeds, what kind of garden are you growing inside? Every day, without realizing it, you plant words within yourself. Quiet phrases repeated under your breath, often harsh, often unkind. And over time, those words grow into the landscape of your life. The words you whisper to yourself become the shape of your life. This is not just poetry, it's truth. What you tell yourself repeatedly becomes what you believe, and what you believe shapes how gently or cruelly you walk through this world. Most of us carry an inner critic that never sleeps. It whispers after every mistake, it questions every success, and it hides behind false modesty, pretending to keep us humble. But humility does not mean self-hatred. Buddhism teaches that suffering begins not in what happens to us, but in how we speak to ourselves about it. Every self-judgment is a stone placed on your own heart, and after years of carrying them, no wonder it's hard to breathe. Imagine if you could put those stones down. Picture yourself sitting in stillness, breathing slowly. Now, place your hand on your chest and whisper, "May I speak to myself as kindly as I would to a friend." Feel how your body softens, how the weight in your chest begins to melt. The mind believes what you repeat. So if you speak fear, it learns to be afraid. If you speak doubt, it begins to shrink. But when you speak kindness, even softly, the mind listens and blooms. Ask yourself, how often do I feed my mind with self-blame? What if my inner voice could become my healer instead of my enemy? Can I let silence replace my inner critic, even for one day? Notice the way your heart responds to these questions. It's not craving perfection, it's craving peace. You cannot punish yourself into growth. You can only love yourself into transformation. In Buddhist mindfulness, right speech is not just about how we talk to others. It's about how we speak within. Every word you choose is either medicine or poison. Each sentence you repeat becomes a mantra that shapes your energy. So choose words that lift rather than wound. Replace "I'm not enough" with "I'm learning." Replace "I always fail" with "I am growing through this." These are not delusions, they are seeds of healing. Remember, your inner dialogue is the most powerful prayer you will ever utter. So let it be gentle. Let it be kind. The Buddha said that peace begins within, and so does love. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you're trying to heal, because you are. When the voice inside you softens, the whole world begins to echo that tenderness back. And in that sacred silence, you will realize self-love was never about ego. It was about truth. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type "My self-worth attracts more 5. Do not believe in labels. Who would you be without the names others gave you? From the moment you were born, the world began defining you. Son, daughter, success, failure, beautiful, broken, worthy, unworthy. Slowly, you started carrying those words as if they were your truth. But as the Buddha once said, the moment you define yourself, you limit yourself. Because every label, even the flattering ones, becomes a small cage that traps the vastness of who you really are. Think about it. The sky doesn't call itself blue. It simply is, infinite, boundless, ever-changing. Clouds drift through it, storms pass, stars appear, yet the sky itself remains untouched. You are the same. Beneath every opinion, every label, every role you've been told to play, there exists a quiet awareness. Vast, unchanging, free. But when you begin to believe the names others give you, you start shrinking your soul to fit within their narrow walls. Imagine, for a moment, that you could remove those labels. Breathe deeply. With every exhale, let go of one. Not good enough, too emotional, too late, too different. Imagine them falling away like old garments until only stillness remains. Feel how light you become when you no longer need to be anyone but this breath, this awareness, this moment. That is your true self. Not a label, but life itself moving through you. In Buddhist wisdom, the idea of no self does not mean you don't exist. It means you are not fixed. You are not one thing to be measured or judged. You are a river, not a rock. When you cling to an identity, you stop flowing. You begin defending an illusion instead of living your truth. Freedom comes not from finding a new label, but from seeing that you were never any of them to begin with. So ask yourself gently, which labels have I mistaken for my identity? Who am I beneath all definitions? Can I let myself just be, without name, without role? Sit with these questions in silence. Notice the space they create inside you. That space is your true home. Vast, silent, and untouched by the world's opinions. When you love yourself beyond labels, you begin to live without needing validation. You no longer chase approval because you realize you were never a title to begin with. You were always the awareness watching it all unfold. The lotus doesn't need to prove it's pure, it simply blooms. And so must you. Remember this, you are not who the world says you are. You are what remains when everything false has been stripped away, pure consciousness, vast as the sky, infinite as love itself. 6. How self-love heals emotional karma. What if forgiveness isn't about others, but about releasing your own chains? We often believe that healing is found in being forgiven by someone else or in receiving closure from the past. But true liberation begins when you stop punishing yourself for what can no longer be changed. As the Buddha taught, to love yourself is to stop wounding yourself with your memories. The past is not your prison. It is your teacher. Yet many keep living as if their old mistakes and hurts are still happening, reliving them again and again until they become a part of identity rather than experience. Emotional karma is the weight of what you refuse to release, the unspoken guilt, the buried anger, the shame you've carried quietly for years. You may think you've moved on, yet it still lives within your body, whispering through your thoughts, shaping how you see yourself and others. But here's the truth. The past cannot hurt you anymore, except through the power you continue to give it. The moment you turn toward it with compassion instead of resistance, it begins to dissolve. The past is a shadow. It disappears the moment you face the light. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. In your hands, you hold the fragments of every painful memory, moments of regret, heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment. One by one, you place them into a small candle flame. Watch them flicker, burn softly, and transform into light. That light does not destroy the memory, it redeems it. This is the alchemy of self-love, transforming pain into wisdom. You are not erasing the past, you are freeing yourself from being defined by it. Ask yourself gently, which emotions still control me from the past? Can I thank them and let them go? What freedom awaits once I forgive myself? These questions are not about forgetting. They are about understanding that forgiveness is not an event, but a daily act of choosing peace over punishment. You cannot heal while holding on to the story that made you suffer. You must rewrite it through the eyes of compassion. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that every wound carries the seed of awakening. When you hold your pain with tenderness, it transforms into insight. You begin to see that nothing was wasted, not even your suffering. It all shaped your capacity to love, to empathize, to grow. So tonight, sit quietly with your heart. Whisper to yourself, I forgive you. Say it again until the words no longer feel foreign. Because self-love is not a luxury. It is the final release of emotional karma. And when you finally let go, you will realize that the freedom you were searching for was never in the world outside. It was always within your own willingness to forgive yourself and begin again. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My self-worth attracts more, 7. Stop seeking worth in others. Why do we hand others the power to decide our value? From childhood, we're taught to look outward for validation, for acceptance, for proof that we are enough. A kind word becomes our sunshine, while criticism becomes our storm. But as the Buddha said, the approval you seek outside is the love you've refused inside. We spend years trying to be seen by the world, yet the real longing is to be seen by our own heart. You are not the reflection in someone else's mirror. You are the mirror itself. When you let others define your worth, you become like a mirror that forgets its own clarity, believing it only exists through what passes before it. But when the mirror remembers its nature, it shines regardless of who stands before it. That is what it means to love yourself, to no longer depend on others to reflect your light back to you. Close your eyes for a moment. See yourself standing in a quiet, open field. There's no noise, no audience, no judgment. The air is still, the sky vast above you. In that silence, you begin to notice something. Your light has never depended on anyone's gaze. You are radiant, whole, complete, needing nothing to prove your worth. This is the power of self-love. It frees you from the hunger for approval and the fear of rejection. Ask yourself, Whose approval still controls my peace? What would I feel if I stopped chasing it? Can I let silence be my validation? Notice how your body responds to these questions. You may feel discomfort. That's the sound of old chains loosening. You've been conditioned to believe that love must be earned, that value must be granted. But self-love is the rebellion against that illusion. It is remembering that worth was never up for negotiation. Buddhism teaches that attachment, even to approval, leads to suffering. When you crave validation, you give your inner peace away to the unpredictable moods of others. You become a prisoner of opinions. But when you root your peace within, you become untouchable. You still care, but you no longer cling. You still love, but you no longer beg. So, release the need to be understood by everyone. Not everyone will see you clearly, and that's okay. The moon doesn't need applause to shine. Let silence be your sanctuary, your proof, your peace. Because when you love yourself more than anyone else, you stop seeking mirrors and start becoming one, reflecting light effortlessly, simply by being what you already are, whole, radiant, and free. 8. When you love yourself, the mind becomes still. What happens to thought when the heart stops resisting itself? Most of us spend our days trying to control the mind, to silence it, to shape it, to command it into peace. But peace doesn't come through force. It comes through surrender. The Buddha said, "Peace is not found in control, but in self-acceptance." When you stop battling yourself, the mind no longer needs to defend or justify. It simply rests, like a pond that clears the moment the wind stops. The mind is like that pond. When you judge yourself, every harsh thought is a stone thrown into the water, creating ripples of restlessness that distort your reflection. You chase perfection, approval, understanding, trying to calm the surface by stirring it further. But when you love yourself, truly and deeply, those stones lose their weight. The pond stills. You begin to see clearly again. The beauty of self-love is that it doesn't fix you, it frees you. It allows your mind to stop striving to be better and simply be. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Imagine your thoughts as ripples on the surface of a pond. With each breath, watch them settle, gently, naturally, effortlessly. The water becomes clear, reflecting the sky, reflecting peace. This is what it feels like when the heart embraces itself, when love replaces resistance. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and begin whispering, "I am enough, even in this moment." Ask yourself softly, how often do I try to fix instead of feel? What would stillness feel like if I stopped striving? Can I let my mind rest in self-love? Sit with these questions, not to answer them, but to let them open a quiet space inside you. The mind heals not through force, but through gentleness. Like a flower, it unfolds in its own time when the sun of acceptance warms it. In Buddhist mindfulness, self-acceptance is not passivity. It's awareness without resistance. It's looking at every thought, every emotion, and saying, "You are allowed to be here." The moment you stop fighting what arises, your mind finds its natural rhythm. That is the essence of meditation, not silence through control, but silence through understanding. So let yourself breathe. Let yourself be. The world outside will always move, but within you, a still pond waits. When you love yourself, you stop needing to escape your own mind. You stop fearing your thoughts. You realize they are not storms, only ripples waiting to return to calm. And in that calmness, something sacred awakens. The truth that peace was never missing. It was simply buried beneath your resistance to yourself. 9. The spiritual strength hidden in self-respect. Why does love sometimes mean walking away? We are taught that love means giving endlessly, forgiving endlessly, and staying no matter the cost. But true love, in the light of Buddhist wisdom, is not blind endurance. It is awareness with compassion. Compassion without boundaries becomes self-betrayal. When love asks you to abandon your own peace, it is no longer love. It is attachment disguised as virtue. There is a quiet strength in self-respect that few recognize. It doesn't shout or demand. It simply stands firm. Like a tree bending in the storm, it moves with understanding, but never uproots itself to please the wind. The Buddha spoke often of the middle way, the path between indulgence and denial. To love yourself more than anyone else does not mean selfishness. It means balance. It means knowing that your peace is sacred, and any love that destroys that peace cannot be love in its truest form. Close your eyes and imagine yourself as that tree, tall, grounded, unshaken. Feel your roots sinking deep into the earth of self-awareness. No matter how fiercely the wind of others' opinions blows, you remain anchored in your truth. The branches may sway, the leaves may fall, but your essence remains untouched. That is self-respect, the quiet realization that your worth does not depend on being accepted, but on being aligned with your own integrity. Ask yourself gently, where have I sacrificed peace for approval? What does self-respect look like in silence? Can I love others without abandoning myself? These questions are not about building walls. They are about setting sacred boundaries. The Buddha taught that we must first establish loving kindness within ourselves before extending it outward. How can you offer peace if you have none left to give? How can you teach love if your own heart has been neglected? To respect yourself is to honor the divine presence within you. It means saying no when your soul whispers, enough. It means walking away, not in anger, but in awareness. Sometimes the most compassionate act is distance. Sometimes love speaks through silence, through space, through stillness. When you love yourself deeply, you stop fearing the loss of others' affection. You begin to see that true connection doesn't require self-erasure. You become calm, firm, radiant, like that tree in the wind. And those who are meant to walk beside you will find their peace in your rootedness, not in your surrender. So remember this truth. Self-respect is not pride. It is spiritual strength. It is love that has matured into wisdom. Because the one who truly loves themselves cannot be broken by the world. They have already found home within. 10. How self-love attracts the right energy, people, and life. What if the universe mirrors not your desires, but your energy? Many spend their lives chasing people, opportunities, or circumstances, believing that happiness comes from outside. Yet Buddhism teaches that the world responds not to what you want, but to the vibration you carry. You attract what you believe you deserve. When you love yourself deeply, you begin to radiate an energy that naturally draws what is aligned with your inner harmony. Imagine your heart as a radiant sun. Its warmth does not beg, it simply shines. Like a magnet polished by self-acceptance, your presence begins to attract life that resonates with your light. Those who are drawn to you are not seeking to fill emptiness, but to share in the fullness you already possess. You no longer cling to relationships that drain, opportunities that frustrate, or validation that diminishes. Instead, life bends gently toward you, reflecting the calm, centered, and abundant energy you carry within. Take a moment to breathe and visualize this. With every inhale, feel your self-love expanding, spreading through your chest, your shoulders, your hands. With every exhale, see it radiating outward, creating ripples in the world around you. Every choice you make, every thought you hold, every word you speak, all of it is sending a signal to the universe. The peace you cultivate within becomes the environment in which the right people, circumstances, and opportunities can flourish. Ask yourself gently, what kind of energy do I send into the world daily? Am I attracting love or seeking rescue? Can I let peace be my vibration? These questions are not tests, they are mirrors. The universe responds not to your fears or urgencies, but to the alignment of your heart and mind. When you stop chasing, the chase ends. When you stop begging for approval, your life begins to flow toward you effortlessly. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that attachment and longing distort the energy we emit. When we are desperate, we repel. When we are fractured, we scatter. But self-love consolidates, grounds, and harmonizes. It turns the simple act of being into a powerful magnet for connection, joy, and purpose. You do not need to force harmony. You need only to embody it within yourself. So, nurture yourself first. Respect your boundaries, honor your emotions, and celebrate your worth. Let your heart shine with calm confidence. The people who truly belong in your life will feel the resonance of your self-love. The opportunities that are meant for you will arrive naturally, without struggle or compromise. And in that sacred alignment, you will discover a profound truth. The life you've been seeking was never outside of you. It has always been drawn to the light you carry within. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My self-worth attracts more." 11. Believe imperfection is beautiful. Why do we chase perfection when life itself is perfectly incomplete? We are taught that flaws are failures, that mistakes make us less worthy, and that only smooth surfaces are acceptable. Yet Buddhist wisdom whispers a different truth. Imperfection is not a defect to be hidden. It is the path through which life shines most brilliantly. Cracks are where the light enters, not where you break. Your wounds, your scars, your shortcomings are not evidence of weakness. They are portals for transformation, for insight, for self-love. Think of a clay bowl repaired with golden seams. In its imperfection, it becomes more valuable than any flawless creation. The cracks, once a source of shame, now hold beauty, strength, and story. This is how your own life works. Every mistake, every scar, every trait you once wished away has shaped you, polished you, and opened spaces for love, compassion, and understanding. To hide your flaws is to deny the very gold that makes you luminous. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. As you inhale, feel the edges of your imperfections, the parts of yourself you have longed to smooth over, correct, or conceal. As you exhale, imagine them glowing softly with gold. These are not blemishes to disguise, but treasures to honor. Each flaw has taught you patience, resilience, and kindness to yourself and to others. The cracks are not weaknesses. They are evidence that life has moved through you and you have remained whole. Ask yourself gently, what imperfections do I still try to hide? Who told me that being flawed made me unworthy? Can I see beauty in what I once rejected? Sit with these questions in stillness. Notice the resistance, the self-criticism, and the old habits of concealment. Then, allow a quiet smile to rise within. The recognition that you are not broken, only beautifully human. Buddhism teaches that clinging to perfection is a form of suffering. It is a river that resists its own flow, a cloud that refuses to drift. To embrace your imperfection is to align with the natural rhythm of life. You begin to move gracefully with the tides of your experiences, to honor each moment, each mistake, each lesson, as part of the artistry of your existence. So tonight, allow yourself to rest in the glow of your gold. Let your cracks be celebrated, not hidden. Love yourself through the scars and the flaws, for they are the proof that you have lived, felt, and grown. When you see imperfection as beautiful, the world mirrors that acceptance back to you. And in that reflection, you will realize your true worth was never in being flawless, but in being fully, beautifully, and unapologetically yourself. Bonus lesson: love and accept yourself. That's where freedom begins. What if the final act of awakening is not to change, but to embrace? We spend so much of our lives striving, improving, fixing, and seeking approval, believing that happiness and freedom are somewhere beyond ourselves. Yet the deepest liberation comes not from becoming someone else, but from returning home to the one you already are. The one who returns home to themselves discovers heaven was never elsewhere. This is the essence of self-love, realizing that the peace, joy, and acceptance we chase externally have always been within. Imagine the sun hidden behind clouds, constantly searching for its own light, unaware that it has never lost it. The moment it stops hiding, it shines effortlessly, illuminating everything around it. Your own heart works in the same way. When you stop resisting, when you stop running from yourself, the light within bursts forth naturally. You do not need to earn it, prove it, or seek it. You only need to stop hiding behind judgment, fear, and doubt. Close your eyes and place your hand gently over your heart. Whisper softly, "I am enough." I always was. Feel the warmth of that acknowledgement spreading through your chest, filling every corner of your being. This is not a statement of arrogance, but of truth. Beneath all the stories, all the expectations, all the self-criticism, your essence has always been whole, always radiant, always deserving of love, especially from yourself. Ask yourself, what does loving myself fully feel like right now? What parts of me still seek permission to exist? Can I live each day as an act of love toward myself? Let these questions settle deeply, not to be answered immediately, but to guide your awareness. Notice the tension in your body, the hesitation in your mind, and then breathe into it. Each breath is an invitation to return to yourself, to honor the life, the experiences, and the emotions that make you uniquely human. Buddhism teaches that liberation arises when we cease resisting what is. By accepting yourself completely, your fears, your mistakes, your scars, your desires, you step into a freedom that no external circumstance can touch. Self-love is the foundation upon which all other peace rests. It is the wellspring from which compassion, joy, and resilience flow naturally. So live each day as a gentle act of love toward yourself. Protect your heart, honor your needs, and celebrate your worth. Let the world see you as you are, not as someone polished, perfected, or molded by expectations, but as a radiant being who has finally come home. Because when you love and accept yourself fully, the boundaries dissolve, the mind stills, and you realize freedom was never outside of you. It has always been within. Quick summary of the lessons. Stop waging war against yourself. Inner peace begins when you stop battling your own thoughts and flaws. True healing is born from self-compassion, not self-criticism. The more you soften toward yourself, the freer you become from inner conflict. The truth about why we reject ourselves. We reject ourselves because we were taught to equate worth with perfection. But the Buddhist truth is simple. You were never broken. You only forgot your inherent wholeness. Peace returns the moment you remember it. Learn to accept mistakes without punishment. Mistakes are not proof of weakness, but evidence of growth. Each misstep teaches something essential about your path. Self-forgiveness transforms pain into wisdom and restores calm to your mind. Stop criticizing yourself. The mind believes what you repeat. Your thoughts shape your reality. Constant self-blame becomes a silent mantra of suffering. Speak kindly to yourself, and your mind will slowly begin to believe in your worth again. Believe imperfection is beautiful. Perfection is an illusion that steals joy from the present. Your imperfections make you real, relatable, and radiant. When you embrace them, you stop chasing a false image and start living in truth. How self-love heals. Emotional karma. Loving yourself breaks the cycle of guilt, shame, and emotional repetition. It releases the burdens of the past and restores balance within. Through forgiveness, the soul finally breathes in peace. Stop seeking worth in others. When you depend on others to validate your worth, you hand away your power. Detachment and inner acceptance free you from this dependence. Your value has never been conditional. It simply is. When you love yourself, the mind becomes still. The restless mind calms naturally in the presence of self-acceptance. Love quiets the noise of overthinking and comparison. Through mindfulness, you return to the tranquil awareness of your true nature. The spiritual strength, hidden in self-respect. Self-love gives birth to boundaries, not from pride, but from peace. Respecting yourself allows you to walk away from what harms your soul. It's courage disguised as calmness. How self-love attracts the right energy, people, and life. Your inner state shapes your outer world. When you accept yourself, you stop chasing and start attracting. Life aligns effortlessly when your energy flows from authenticity, not fear. Do not believe in labels. Labels limit your spirit. You are not your titles, failures, or roles. You are awareness itself. Freedom begins when you let go of who you think you are supposed to be. Love and accept yourself. That's where freedom begins. Real liberation arises when you stop trying to become someone else. Self-acceptance opens the door to peace, clarity, and effortless joy. To love yourself is to finally return home to your own soul. When you learn to love yourself, something extraordinary happens. Life stops resisting you. The chaos quiets and peace gently returns, not because everything outside has changed, but because you have. Self-love is not arrogance. It's the recognition that you too are part of this sacred universe, deserving of the same compassion you give to others. Remember, the moment you accept yourself completely, the world begins to mirror that acceptance back to you. That is the essence of Zen, the realization that there is nowhere to go, nothing to prove, and no one else you need to become. Love yourself, and everything will fall silently into its perfect place. If this message touched your heart, like and share this video. Share your opinion in the comments, and subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a calm, peaceful, and awakened life.